So in the video a couple of days ago, we asked a very dangerous question in physics. Which one's better? See, the problem with the better question is, what are your parameters? What does it mean to be better? The question specifically talked about a pair of sticks that had masses attached to them, and it asked which one would be better to use in a sword fight. One where the mass is concentrated at your hand, or another where the mass is concentrated halfway down the stick, or even at the end of the stick. Before I can answer the better question, I have to answer the question I haven't asked yet. Do I want to be able to hit hard, or do I want to be able to hit precisely? So let's come up with an example. Despite the fact that these are both axes, there's actually quite a bit of difference between them. This one is a standard two-bladed axe that you use for chopping. And this one is a single-bladed axe called a splitting maul. And although there is a difference, of course, in their number of blades, the more important difference is in their mass distribution. Let's go see. The standard two-headed axe has a weight of 5.5 pounds. While the splitting maul has a more impressive weight of 7 pounds. But more importantly, as unscientific as this is, if I support the weight of the handle over here in my other hand, the weight of this axe on this scale drops to about 4 pounds. While the weight of the splitting maul, when supported by its handle, so it's mostly the weight of the head, is still actually about 6.5 pounds. It has maintained most of its weight when I'm supporting its handle, and that's because most of its mass is concentrated up here in the head. So the splitting maul both has slightly more mass, and much more of its mass is concentrated here in the head than the double-bladed axe. The axe is designed to chop and doesn't do a lot of damage in each stroke. It does a small bit of damage in a precise location. The splitting maul is far less precise, but it does more damage per stroke. Now, you wouldn't use a splitting maul for chopping because it is way harder to convince this thing to move around than it is to convince this one. Alternately, however, you wouldn't use an axe to split wood because you don't need precision, you need to barrel through the log. So which one was better? That depends. Did I want small, precise cuts, or did I want to split something immediately? Anyone who's played video games for any length of time knows that a big, heavy weapon is hard to steer, but does a lot of damage if you can manage to get it to hit its target. And a light, agile weapon doesn't do much damage, but it is easier to get a hit. And that's due almost entirely to that rotational inertia. If you need a lot of mass to do a lot of damage, then put it out at the end of the stick or the lever arm or the pivot so that you get a lot of rotational inertia. But if you need quick, precise sword-like movements, then you want the mass to be concentrated down near the pivot, so it's very light out at the end and you have a small amount of rotational inertia. As it always is, if you're going to ask the question, which one's better? The first question you have to ask is, what do you mean by better?